let's talk a little bit about the NL. We'll go over a bunch of these teams, but let's do NL power rankings. I feel like we haven't really talked about how good these teams have been, who's the hottest team, who's the most likely to get hot, and really who can come atop. And I'm not really talking regular season, so I'm not thinking this as like, oh, well, the Dodgers are going to have the best record, put them at number one. I'm thinking of who do you think has the best chance to be in the World Series out of the teams in the NL. And that's where I'm kind of looking for this NL power rankings. I can go through mine first, Isaac, and then you can go through yours after. But mine 1 through 5 is going to be Dodgers, Mets, Braves, Padres, Cardinals. So I have the Padres at 4. I think the Cardinals, they've been better this year. I think they have a couple more wins than the Padres. I just think that ultimately the Padres offense hasn't been playing up to par. And I think once it does that, I think they're going to look a little bit better than the Cardinals. I think they're starting pitching stronger. And then I go to the Braves. I think the Padres probably have better overall starting pitching. But the Braves lineup is really good and the Braves are winning a lot of ball games. So that's why I'd have them at 3. The Mets at 2. So this one's kind of weird because honestly, not in the 3-game series, but if it was a 5 or 7-game series, I would feel decently comfortable if the Padres had to play the Mets.
Oh yeah.
The problem is that you would have to you'd want to at least win one of those first 2 DeGrom Scherzer games. But if you played the Mets in the second round, there's a decent chance that you're not going to see one of DeGrom or Scherzer game 1 because they had to pitch them in the wild card round. So the Mets is a potential second matchup. I think is really positive for the Padres. But when you look at their team, when you look at that 1-2, I think it's hard to not put them at number 2, and especially when you look at what they've done throughout this fall season. So I still think they're at number 2. And then I think number 1's pretty obvious for NL power rankings. Even though they lost a couple arms, they're getting Kershaw back soon, and apparently they're very confident that Tony Gonsolin is going to be healthy. So the only guy that they've really lost out of the starting rotation was Walker Buehler. And then you're having, oh my God, dude. Why can't I think? Dustin May. Then you're having Dustin May come back. And Dustin May is super nasty. I think Dustin May honestly gets slept on a lot. His fastball is one of the most ridiculous pitches I've ever seen. Kind of reminiscent of the Sandy Alcantara fastball as well, just with all the movement that it has. But that's my 5 through 1 rankings. I do not have the Brewers or the Phillies there. I think that the Phillies could definitely be brought up for sure. I don't think the Brewers or any other team in the NL is really up there. But what's your top 5?
Yeah, the Dodgers are obviously going to be number 1. I mean, I know they lost Walker Buehler, and who knows what's going to happen with Tony Gonsolin. If they're confident with Tony Gonsolin being okay, then you feel a little more optimistic if you're a Dodger fan. But that is a very scary injury. Either way, they still got a very good rotation. It's kind of crazy that they could have a lot of injuries and still be that good of a rotation. So the Dodgers are obviously going to be number 1. I'm going to have to go with the Mets at number 2, just because when it comes to a World Series appearance, I don't really think it gets much better than having your 1 and 2 being DeGrom and Scherzer. And yeah, they don't hit for much power, but they're still a very good team that I think they got the recipe for success. And then number 3, I'm going to have to go with the Braves. That lineup is absolutely disgusting. You got nothing but studs from pretty much 1 through 9 all throughout that lineup. Michael Harris, Ronald Acuna. I don't know if they're supposed to be getting Albies back soon, but I'm pretty sure they are. Dansby, Riley, Olsen, just studs all throughout that lineup. So they got to be up there. I'm actually going to go with the Cardinals ahead of the Padres. Of course, their starting pitching isn't as good as ours, but Montgomery's been fantastic for them. Adam Waino's always been one of those dudes. I don't know how he's still doing it, but he's still doing it. Albert Pujols, for some reason, is catching some fire, and just they've been really good. Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt have been 2 of the top players in all of baseball. Paul Goldschmidt being a candidate for the Triple Crown. Tyler O'Neill's getting hot. Tommy Edmonds putting up, one of the best seasons in baseball. So that is a team that honestly is very good. And I know a lot of people are going to say, how could you not put the Padres over the Cardinals? Cardinals kind of always beat the Padres. They swept us earlier this year, so we'll see how it goes in our next series. But that is a very good team that I would not want to face personally. I'll go with the Padres at 5. It's very hard to put them that low, just because I do still feel confident that they're sort of a World Series team. But I mean, they just haven't shown it. They haven't shown it. They have not shown it whatsoever lately. I don't know how I can expect them to go in there and win a World Series when they're tying series with the Nationals and getting blown out by the Royals. Like there's so many factors I think again that are going against the Padres that I can't rank them higher than those other organizations because the Dodgers have a history of winning. The Cardinals have a great history of winning. The Braves just won a World Series last year, and the Mets are heavily invested into their roster with good players. So yeah, that's going to be my power rankings for sure.
And I like that. So I mean, we're basically the exact same outside of flipping the Cardinals and the Padres. And I definitely see where you're coming from too, because when we were talking about this team, and granted, this was with Fernando, but right after the trade deadline, it was like the Mets. Padres are way better than the Mets. That's like we said that right after the deadline too. So, and I still think like the big thing for me is I think if we see Josh Bell, I don't have the same confidence in Brandon Drury, but I do think if we see Josh Bell just absolutely lighting it up, right? Just has an amazing September. I do think that would it would feel like, because like I feel like the Fernando blow is so big when you talk about World Series, when you talk about hanging with these other teams in the NL. But that would be kind of like a Band-Aid in a way, like because if we look at his numbers, like his numbers at so far in San Diego are like not even close to his career numbers. Now he's been really good lately, but like it was 2-3 weeks that he was struggling really, really bad. So if he doesn't look like that at all, and he doesn't really slump so bad, I don't know. I feel like they would be a lot better. But yeah, I think it's super fair. I mean, the Cardinals are really good. They have the dude who's going to take home the MVP probably. I mean, you got Goldschmidt for MVP, right?
Easily.
He's got to be, right?
He might win the Triple Crown. So yeah.
Okay, I got to ask a quick other question. For AL, is it Judge 100%?
Nope, it's Ohtani.
You think it's Ohtani? Dude, I looked at his numbers today. He's having a better year. His WAR's down by like 0.1. But his ERA and his FIP dropped like a full point. Like he's having a 9-WAR season, back-to-back 9-WAR seasons. Okay. I know that was off topic, but it was just yeah, I don't know. So the Cardinals are legit. I think the Braves are interesting. The Braves, I feel like we all kind of expected them a little bit to like take a step back, and they haven't. They really haven't. They've been really good throughout the second half of the season. I thought there was a chance that they could kind of jump the Mets. They played them really well in the last series that they faced off together. But I don't think, I want to say that there's a decent gap still between them. And it's pretty unlikely that the Braves will be able to jump the Mets. Also, the Mets are playing really well. But yeah, I think that's super fair. I do see some people we're talking about the Dodgers rotation, saying that like it won't be as good in the playoffs. I think the thing with the Dodgers is that just they're so stacked at like every spot. So even if their pitching doesn't perform, like look at that lineup. Like that's the thing. So
still a pretty solid rotation, and they still got a lineup that, quite frankly, probably is the best lineup in baseball.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think that's pretty fair when we talk about the Padres being like 4th or 5th best team in the NL right now.